put
call.
my
So
name on. You didn't put my name on here.
it is. It's under your
I don't see it. All I see is blues
directly
artist
under
active.
that. It says Gay
Oh,
Todd
I don't see it.
Adegbalola.
Okay. Oh, I see it up here. Oh, there are two boxes of me.
That's what I was saying. When we swapped them, the other one gave you more space, more
I see.
characters, so you
I
didn't have to
see.
cut it off.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
All
started
right.
using artist instead of musician because I write too.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Cat,
sense.
Cat, did you hear that?
No, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on one second. I want to make sure.
Oh, Atiba, I need to. How do I get this on my page too? What do I have?
Um, to get this on your page, I think I can help. One sec.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Let me do it too.
Okay, let me switch back over. Sorry, my brain's doing a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Um, to get this on your page, I will have to. You see, we have a private chat. Y'all all see that
Yes.
function? The
Yes.
Yes.
private chat, no one can see but us.
Okay.
Guaranteed. so, so if you need something private to put, you can put it there.
Okay.
Comments, everyone can see.
Okay.
Okay. I see.
Um, but the private chat only we can see. I think I would need a login credential for you to add um, it to the page. But at this point, maybe you should just share it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can
You
do
know,
that.
yeah, just share it after the fact.
Okay.
And actually, it's live on your page. It's live on our page now, so you could share it now as a live stream, like
Oh,
on
I
your
can
phone or
do that.
whatever, and then or computer or whatever,
So
and then
what do
somebody
you
could see
put?
it.
So what do I put? Live at what?
Well, if you go to Piedmont Blues Preservation Society's Facebook or YouTube
Okay.
page,
Oh, okay.
then we're
Well,
already live right now. We've been live for 2.5 minutes,
Oh,
so
great.
all
you
right.
can share it, and
And
then it'll just be
so
a regular post like you're sharing any other live.
Oh yeah, I see it.
I'm
I see.
sharing it
Yes.
right now.
Hmm. So now be careful clicking it and open it up. You probably create a feedback loop.
Mhm.
I think Cat froze up on us for a second.
And yes, I'm working on that right now,
Oh,
and
you're
I
good.
shared, and I think it worked. I believe so.
Well, I'm so happy to have you all
Yay!
here.
Let me see. Let me see. Did it work on mine?
Excited to be here.
Yes, me too. Yes, I have it. I have it now, Atiba.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
I'm really excited for this opportunity. Um, welcome you all to 2023 Young Black and Blues Conversation, virtual discussion. Um, this conversation was really fun. Is really a kind of for me a gift from God as I do this work. And so many people work from a place of the music and history aspects, and I'm really not that historian. Like, I like facts to support things, and I love our history. I think it's wonderful, and I wish more people knew more about it. But I also know there's a lot of social issues that we have that don't get addressed, conversations that aren't had, and things that we don't get to talk about. But after 120 years of blues history, in the 21st century, Piedmont Blues Preservation Society is trying to build, a 21st century blues society. And we say, what if we just looked at the last 120 years and say, what could we do better? Let's not reinvent the wheel. And one of the things we said we could do was actually talk about things that weren't talked about and give people platforms to have their voices heard in ways they weren't before. So that's how this started. Um, I'm really grateful to be joined today by Gay Todd Adegbalola, who is our lovely host, an artist and activist, and just wonderful person. I think we actually get along and like really just enjoy each other too. We figured out so, um, which is nice. Um,
Okay.
and,
That
and we,
sounds good. That sounds
it's
like a plan.
yeah. Well, we can get along with people, but then like there's getting along and then there's actually liking someone. Like I
Right.
think we might actually like each other, which is cool. I like it that way. Um, then we have uh, blues phenom Kat Riggins joining us with her wonderful talents and spirit. And then we have the almost not new any longer president of the Blues Foundation, Kimberly Horton.
Yes.
So grateful to have all you here. I'm going to try to take up only appropriate amounts of space. This conversation this year is supposed to center around female voices. Um, so I don't mind jumping in, but I really want to not do the patriarchal thing, not stand in the way, not interfere as much as possible. Um, I may have a question or two here or there, or maybe a comment or try and, but I really want people to understand and for you guys to have space to talk and to discuss some things. So I'll get through this kind of introductory bit and then I will kind of get out the way. Um, the way this started came from this idea that we could amplify voices of the next generation. We had already decided to do that, and then Quan Willis and Christone Kingfish Ingram and Marquise Knox made this statement. It was an open letter on Facebook, and there's been lots of open letters during the pandemic. Some came out. If y'all have not read the open letter that Adia Victoria wrote to Americana Music, it's a masterpiece and is really well stated. But there's perspectives that young Black artists have being a part of, the artistic culture and the commercial culture of pop music and American music. And here's what these gentlemen had to say about it. We've now found ourselves in 2021, and some of the ugly forces that seem to have died off were only suppressed for the time being. Our foreparents of the blues would be highly disappointed in the actions and language of those whom they shared stories of our heritage and culture with. In many cases, the proximity the white artists kept around our foreparents often led to wealth, careers, and lifestyles. When Albert King said, "Take a little further, little brother, and make a way," he didn't mean to hold the harvest of their fruit from the originator's offsprings. The narrative of blues has found itself controlled by scholars and purveyors who believe they understand blackness in its fullness in America, but have never lived one day in our skin. For instance, the 13-year-old Marquise Knox was told he was too young to know the blues. 15-year-old Kingfish Ingram was told was too rockish to know the blues, and 16-year-old John Tavius Willis had no direct connection to the blues. Meanwhile, in our generation, it's an anomaly for the three of us to be Black, young and alive, let alone brothers in the blues. Many people who are revered in this industry as legends or have gained notable success were exposed themselves as racists. From this day forward, we will replace the deceitful tales of Black abandonment of the blues
Hmm.
with kinship amongst the remaining living Black blues artists. We will be able to chart the path forward on what is and isn't the blues.
Oh,
We'll We'll educate all of those coming under us to appreciate the value of the Blackness of the blues. A true ally understands that a simple statement saying Black Lives Matter is only words. Indeed, it's time to pass down any and all knowledge to help build a more equitable blues community. A society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they know they shall never sit. And that is the end of what they wrote.
wow.
Um, so uh, I took that to my board. We found it a pretty poignant statement. And really, if we talk about listening to people that have experience in the world and experience in our skin, I think for most of us that hear that, we're like, man, that resonates. But for others to have the opportunity to understand um, is part of what's needed, you know? So the reality is the blues is about an 80% white fan base, and probably about 95, 98% white administrated. Like, who owns these blues festivals? Who owns these blues record labels? Who's running institutions of the blues, including blues societies, right?
Mhm.
And so when the leadership doesn't look like us, there's a gap there. Um, so conversations like this are an opportunity for us to be honest and share what's going on, but also to give people a chance to just kind of peek in a little bit behind the curtain what they don't see. And after last year's conversation, I mean, I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but there were several blues musicians and professionals from different parts of the industry that reached out to our nonprofit afterwards and said, "Hey, man, I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 50 years. And sometimes you think maybe you're being respectful. There's not more you can learn." And like, I wasn't ready. Like, they learned a lot. So that was important to hear, to
Mhm.
see that, it kind of worked, just giving people this window in to look. So we are here. The comments are live. If you click on your comments tab, you can read comments in this platform that are coming in from Facebook and YouTube. And so I'll be monitoring those. And see, Rochelle Willis really
Mhm.
liked the letter that the young men were had written, and I'm going to pass it over to uh, our elder, Ms. Gay, and I'm going to try and
Yeah,
step out the way and let you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
get this thing
Well,
started.
just a little hint to start with. I don't mind being called old. A lot of times when we use senior or silver or golden, um, it's because we don't want to say the word old. And by not saying the word old, we make it negative. So I'm old and I've done a lot of living. I've been around the blues world for a long time. And what I find is that so many people, artists included, love the music and don't give credit to the culture. I made it my point on Wednesday night after the Blues Hall of Fame. I was jamming at Rum Boogie. The house was, as we say up here, the house was nut to butt, and it was the house was nut to butt, and it was with all white folks with a table of black women over in the corner. The black women had to happen to be Howlin' Wolf's two daughters and Little Walter's daughter. So, that was royalty right there. But anyway, I did the Dirty Dozens. And I did it for a point. And I think that more black artists need to work some of our story. For example, everybody's heard the term the Dirty Dozens, and it was the start of Yo Mama jokes.
Mhm.
What a lot of people don't know is that when blacks were old, lame, infirmed as slaves, they were sold in lots of a dozen. And so what we had to do as a people, with the standard Dirty Dozen song, Speckled Reds, then we laughed at, we say, and your mama ain't your color, and your mama ain't your cousin. And we talk about loose women, we talk about homosexuality, we talk about oral sex. All of those things are included in the song because that's what we had to do as a people, to laugh at the pain of being slipped in the dozens. So, yeah, I did it at Rum Boogie with a house full of white folks. And I made sure that they were quiet before I started. And I told my story. So I guess now when they hear Dirty Dozens, the song, because that's a piano player's, that's what they do. That's what they show off on, the same way they do Lil Walter's Juke. So it's like, okay, artist, Kat Riggins, you're the one that's on here right now as a young woman who's out there. You got to do some of that for us. But also, I can say right here and right now that Kat does it with her writing also. So I'm just using that as a start, as a kicker, and we're going to jump into this discussion right here. What can we do to blacken the blues world? And in case everybody doesn't know you, Kim,
Mhm.
I know you've been doing a lot of management of artists, and I know about another little relationship in your life. And all I can say is that for once, there's a leader of the Blues Foundation that also knows the music world. So
Wow.
when you put together this show the other night, what did you have in mind? We'll start there. Is that what you want me to do, Ativa? I'm gonna take this thing and
Yeah,
run with it.
you go. We have the skeleton in the document. I don't care
Okay.
if you look at that
We
document or
got the
not.
document. We got the
There's
document.
some
And
interesting questions in there, but
yeah,
this is y'all's space and
ultimately, we're
time.
going to look at what can women do, since this is about young Black women, and everybody in the blues world these days is younger than I am, and so I can just call everybody young women, young Black women. Tell me what you're going to do. So let's just start with the show the other night, because um, there we saw a different show. And Kim, I know you had to put it together.
Well, I just know that, when we talk about coming together at the Blues Music Awards, it needs to be just that, the Blues Music Awards. It doesn't need to be the Rock Awards. It doesn't need to be anything but what it is. The others are always welcome and invited, of course, but that does not need to be the center of attention.
Mhm.
So when I saw, I think everything just fell in place the way it was supposed to. Because when we got, the computer generated, when we got the computer generated of who was nominated, I said, okay, this is gonna be easy,
Mhm.
because this needs to go this way. I am so ready to. I mean, we have, like you just said, the blues demographic is 60 to death at this point,
Mhm.
and they're all, older white people. My goal is to make sure that we get our younger Black people involved
Mhm.
and carry the torch of keeping the history and the heritage of the blues alive.
Mhm.
And it starts with education. It starts with getting them involved. And Dylan and I were talking earlier today, and he was like, if they don't see other young Black kids or other young Black musicians and artists doing it, they don't think it's cool. So I want to be able to put them on the forefront out front, so they will know. You listening to, Dr. Dre, you listening to Future, you listening to all these people, and you don't realize the music that they're playing. They're sampling it from Muddy Waters. They sampling from Howlin' Wolf. They sampling
Mhm.
from all of the historical legends that have, treaded before us. So
Mhm.
I wanted the show Thursday night to reflect that.
Mhm.
I wanted it to be known and seen that, so many people have negative things to say about Blacks working together. We can't work together. We can't do nothing together. I wanted it to be total opposite of that. And I
Mhm.
think we did a very good deal of displaying that and supporting each other, which is something that's not always seen by the public
Mhm.
eye.
Mhm. Yeah, and Kat, I'm gonna ask you that same question in a little bit about the show, but just to give a little bit of commentary, and I put this on my Facebook page. Kim, I put a picture of you, and when Kim gave the welcome, she went on stage with her son and her daughter, and right away, the symbolism hit me. Bam! This is a family. This is
Amen.
a family affair. I saw it. If did nobody else see it, I'm sure you felt it, because if you had any nerves at all, nervousness, your children were right behind you,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a very, very beautiful way to start the program. And as I was sitting there and I was taking little notes and all, I had three acts that blew me away. Now, I've been coming to these awards since the late 80s. Whoever can do the math. Since the probably 87, I think, maybe 88, something like that.
When it was the Handies.
When it was the Handies, indeed. And
Mm-hmm.
I for one was really pissed off when they
Yes.
stopped using the name. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But anyway, there were three acts. I hadn't heard Dwayne Burnside. I had heard his father, RL, but I hadn't heard Dwayne. And when he came on right away, I wanted to book them for a party in my living room. Okay.
Yeah.
Mississippi Hill country music. And then I saw those three women that looked like they had stepped out of Africa. they look like Ghanaian priestesses, Southern Avenue. Oh my goodness. And harmony like you haven't heard. I got
Yeah.
goosebumps. And then the third was Dylan Triplett, who is going to be the next Sam Cooke.
Amen. Come
Amen.
on.
The fact that
Amen.
he's just at the beginning of his career is
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I saw him
Just
last year when he was just starting, just bumping along. And also last year, I saw Kat Riggins. So tag Kat, you're it. What's your feeling about the show?
Man, I thought it was incredible. I thought exactly what you thought. First, just the feeling of being there, the immediate feeling was this is a family, right? So I was automatically just happy to be there, happy to be in the room with so many people who just want to represent this thing in a beautiful way.
Mhm.
So that ain't nobody got nothing but good things to say about it and about us and about the way we carry it. So that was first and foremost. But you are absolutely, everybody that you just called out, I was extremely impressed by. Southern Avenue, I'm a huge fan anyway, but I had never heard when they popped up on that acoustic stage. That was genius for y'all to
Oh,
put them over there. Y'all put
yes.
them on the acoustic stage, and it showed everybody the fact that they're like they can be stripped down and
Okay.
still represent like it is from the soul. That's blood harmony right there. That's
Uh-huh,
exactly what that is.
uh-huh,
That's just
uh-huh.
everything was so perfectly put together, and it felt good at the end of the night leaving. When we left, the way Sip closed out the show was like church. It just all felt good and flowed well together.
Mm-hmm. And for the audience, I must say you probably had some mixed feelings. Cat was nominated as Soul Blues artist. Was that it,
It
Cat?
was Soul Blues album, and then I had Soul Blues female.
Okay. So with those two nominations, um, and I must say I voted for you, but that's
I
nothing
appreciate that.
because
Thank you.
because Cat is one of my favorite songwriters. Okay, and that's really,
Thank
really,
you.
really important. And I in the Blues Festival Guide, I wrote that how I found another griot, young griot at this age, and that's who she is to me. Okay, so Cat performed last year, and it's a shame because we have these sisters going up against each other. And I don't know, how does that feel, because it was perhaps the biggest surprise of the night was Thornetta's women winning, and I was so happy for her. I was so happy for her. You know, she and Trudy Lynn are nominated all the time, and that doesn't happen for them. So was your heart in your throat, girlfriend?
Honestly, going into this, and I told Thornetta the same thing. I thought this was her year.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, and I said it to her face. I
Mm-hmm.
said, "What do you mean you didn't know? Like you had no idea this would happen?" And she really didn't. And she told me something that I'm not sure that she won't share it, but it was for me to hear. And I appreciate what she said. But my honest truth was that I felt like, although people hear my name now and they think I came out of nowhere, but I've been at this for over a decade doing this, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I haven't paid half the dues as those women have paid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm still paying some dues, and not that I thought I'm not worthy or I didn't deserve it. I've worked hard and I continue to work hard for everything. So the nomination, first of all, was huge for me because I know that is scrutiny that the
Mm-hmm.
album goes through. But I also know where my name is in this thing right now. And this is a numbers game, that people vote on this.
Mm-hmm.
So to be honest, I really was praying that it was Thornetta, and I knew that it would be her because I feel like she's owed some dues. Like she done overpaid
Mm-hmm.
in the dues category. So she's owed some credit to her account.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about time that this has come in for her.
Yeah.
And prayerfully it won't be, one and done, because
Yes.
she's deserving. And so when I went into that room, especially being nominated on that list, on that particular ballot with those women,
Mhm.
It meant enough to me to just be likened to them because first of all, they're huge talents. And like me, I believe they aren't really women for holding their tongues, like they'll sing a song that'll make you want to shake something, but they're
Mhm.
not afraid to tell it like it is also.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that just made me really proud to be in that number.
Yeah. Well, the first feminists before the white feminists were blues women, and we've
Yep.
always spoken our minds. Oh, and I was just thinking, you said people know your name now. Hell, I've been doing this 50 years, and they won't even try to say my name. And all they got to do is read it. All they
Sound
got
it
to
out.
do is
Just
read it.
sound it out.
Oh, they don't want to say an African word. It's very readable. But anyway, they know your name, and that's a damn good thing. And you got it. And
Thank you.
and so I was just thinking, I had my eye on you, and I was giving her a little CD and the blues festival guide because I had written about her, and right after that, shortly after that, I went over to your table because I wanted you to have that when you went home or when you
Oh yeah, I got it.
yeah, yeah. So back to Kimberly. What is it like working with the board now? In case the readers or listeners don't know, the board, the Blues Foundation, which is the sponsoring organization for the Blues Music Awards and also for the International Blues Challenge. That's the IBCs. Okay, the board has really been in upheaval. You are the third Black woman to go to the helm, and the other the other two, I don't know how long they stayed there, but it wasn't very long. And there was some real mess within the board of the foundation. And I don't know if you want to air any of this in public, um, but there was some real problems around uh, the stars and bars, the Confederate flag, if you will, and it kind of blew up, and it kind of the split that we're seeing in our nation was kind of happening in the foundation. And yeah, so how's it been taking the reins as a young Black woman of this foundation? How'd you step into that role?
Well, let me just go back a little bit. I had interviewed for the position uh, prior to Patty leaving. Actually, Patty had recommended me.
Mm-hmm.
And Of course, they chose someone else. But Patty was there during the reign of the Stars and Stripes. But as I was telling uh, a person that was in the foundation the other day, I said, Steve Harvey said it best. The windshield is big for a reason, and the rearview mirror is small for a reason.
Ooh,
So I am looking forward at the big windshield and not behind me in the rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Because my plan is for us to continue to grow upward, forward, and onward.
Mm-hmm.
The board now, I have a very cohesive board. It's probably more diverse than it's been in a long time, or have ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very cohesive. Very Everybody's outspoken, and we are just okay. That happened. It was unfortunate how it got blown out of proportion because it didn't have to get blown out of proportion like
Mm-hmm.
that. It happened. We can't take away the fact that it happened, but we have kind of moved on from it because we
Mm-hmm.
can't grow and go forward if we just continue to go back and beat the dead horse.
Very good.
But right now, the board is awesome. Everybody is, doing what they're supposed to be doing. As the foundation, we're in a serious rebuilding stage.
Mm-hmm.
I am working hard daily. Trying to rebuild relationships, repave the roads to things that have been shut off due to either that or some other reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Patty would have been an awesome leader. She was an awesome leader. Uh, and the other one, I don't know what the ideal was or goals were, but nevertheless, I was on the board at the time. I actually had to get off the board to take the position. So,
Mhm.
we're just looking forward to growing.
And it
Doing
was a
some.
real nice touch that the pictures of the board were in the program book.
Mm-hmm.
It was an excellent program book too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you did some work, girl. Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
did. Mhm.
Unfortunately, I actually did that program book by myself because my communications coordinator is gone. So it was me and the desktop publisher. So I'm very proud.
Well, bravo.
I'm very proud of my program.
Wow.
You better pat yourself on the back, girl.
Wow. Well, if you ever need another job, all you gotta do is show the program book.
I've
Yeah.
got a question for you, Kimberly.
Okay.
I'm curious as now a female leader, and kind of I think the blues is still qualified as a male-dominated industry. Um, what do you see the path forward being for not just you, but for kind of growth in the 21st century for women in the blues?
Uh, Shoot, I think the award show proved it. I mean, look at Laura Chavez, first one get best guitar player. I mean,
About time.
we
Wait, are you
come
saying so? Can you
Let's make
tell
that
everybody
clear.
what that? Some people might not have caught exactly what that is, but could you just tease that out a little bit?
that's saying that, hey, she is up there with the best of the best, male or female. She was
Mhm.
voted by the public, the blues community, as best guitar player. So
Mhm.
And that's the
she
first time you're saying that's happened at the BMAs?
to a
Yeah.
female,
Is
to
that
a
we've had a female
first,
best guitar player?
yes,
Yeah. And also, Joanne O'Connor was also nominated. So 2 of the 5 nominees were women in that category.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a
Yes.
woman also won the best bass and
yes,
also won the best horn
horn,
player.
exactly.
Right.
So
And the best vocalist,
that's right.
which was not a surprise. But the other 3, and Deanna Bogart has won it previously. But guitar player, whew,
I
big
know that
deal.
was
It's a big deal.
that was huge. So to answer that question, I think that was answered Thursday night. We are moving. We are making waves.
Mhm.
Women got the same talent. Some of them got better talent. It's just
Mhm.
gender bias because of the genre and
Mhm.
what has been done in the past. But look, you had Memphis Minnie and you had Lucia Bogan doing all this stuff prior to. They were wearing the blinged out
Mhm.
grills before. So
Yeah.
we've always been there, but I think it was kind of like not put out front because, like you said, it is a man dominated genre.
Right.
But we coming.
Right.
Okay.
What
We in here.
Ann Rapson in Sapphire, who is our piano player, she used to always tell people when they say to her, oh, you're a real good piano player for a woman. She would say, well, I really don't play piano with those parts. And and every young woman I talked to, because Sapphire was 3 women who played music. And every young woman I talk to, I tell them on a guitar, basically 3 chords and a capo will set you free. Okay, 95% of the songs in the world only have 3 chords. And if you can do that and work hard enough to do that, you can do it in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't have to rely on a band or any other musician, and you can do it. If you're an entertainer, you can do it. So
Exactly.
that's the one word of advice. So Atiba had some questions here to discuss, and one was from when did you get into the blues? When did you say, okay, this is my love, and this is what I'm gonna do?
Is that directed to me or to Kat?
Whoever jumps in first.
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
I was introduced to the blues at 6, and I've been from that first concert at 6, which was out on the Capitol courtyard. My mom took me to see BB King, and he had a long conversation with me as a 6-year-old. It's just been with me ever since. I knew then that it was something special about this particular music, something special about the way even at 6, how I felt, you know, with the guitar, and I just knew that was something that was in me, you know. It's been with me now 47 years.
Yeah. So do you play at all or sing at all?
I sing a little bit, and I started taking guitar, but of course, when life changed, I kind of put that down. But
yeah, life seems to get in the way of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Kat? When did you fall in love with it?
Man, my mom and dad used to play all types of music around the house when we were growing up. But my mom's favorites tended to be those female blues voices that I guess I ended up modeling myself after, or being inspired by. So my mom used to play a lot of course, Etta James and Coco Taylor. She used to love Denise LaSalle. Like,
Yes.
nobody's business. So I'm a child singing these dirty songs and not knowing what I'm talking about. But now, you know, as a
Yeah, you
woman,
do.
looking back on these songs, like, I can't believe she let me sing that out loud. But you know, and for me, like I said before, I always loved singing, but I never thought that it could be me. No matter what my spirit was pulling me towards, and I just put that in the back of my mind because I had a voice like a man, you know, and I didn't sound or look like everybody that I was quote unquote idolizing with my friends, you know. Like, I used to be obsessed with Janet Jackson and Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and none of that looked or sounded really like me, you know. They used to tell me I used to look like a little Whitney back in the day, but it's still like, my voice is not clean like that. I got a really dirty voice. And when I heard these voices coming through the house, we woke up to music. And then it played all day from the time we woke up and we fell asleep to it. And when I heard these voices that sounded like me, that's when I started getting more into it. But it wasn't until I was grown, in my 30s, that I actually decided that this is a full-time job for me. And that was just because, as right as things were going, it wouldn't stick. And as you grow, you realize that certain things are not just dreams. Certain things are callings. And when you distinguish between just like some sort of fly-by-night fantasy and what you're being called to do, things become clearer. And when you stop being hard-headed to the things you're being called to do, that's when it starts to flow a little more. So that's when I realized I'm going in the right direction, as things started to change and become more fluid. So the blues kind of just wouldn't let me go since I was a child, and I finally gave in to it, and now everything's cool.
Yes. Yeah. My story is quite similar. When I was in my preteens, my parents took me to a Harry Belafonte show, and the opening act was Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee.
Wow.
Okay.
And I heard them, and that was my music. Now, of course, I didn't get into it then, but later on, I was a dyed-in-the-wool Nina Simone fan. And I probably saw her maybe 20 times. But when she did her version of I Want a Little Sugar in My Bowl, she whispered
That's my jam.
whispered at the beginning, Bessie Smith, y'all. Now, when I saw Bessie Smith, it wasn't I Want a Little Sugar in My Bowl. No. Bessie's was I Need a Little Sugar in My Bowl. Big difference between wanting and needing. And as soon as I discovered Bessie, then I discovered Mark Rainey, and then it goes back and back and back, you know. And those influences cut a big road for you. And so what about your writing? Because I'm very partial to your writing. I'm probably your biggest writing fan.
I am so grateful for that.
You got to find the whole thing that I wrote. I don't think I have it anymore. I might have it.
It's somewhere buried in my emails, the whole
Okay.
excerpt.
Yeah.
But I read the edited version in the magazine, and I didn't say my wife was sitting right next to me, and I read the version in the magazine, and I'm quiet, and I go, just Hannah, just read that.
Yeah.
It was beautiful what you wrote, and again, I do appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you actually hear me, and that you, Gay Adegbalola, like you actually have faith in my words and what I'm doing. That's a big deal to me.
Don't let the guitars drown you out either.
Yes, ma'am. I hear you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yes,
let
I
all
hear
that
you.
electricity drown you out, because your words are just so powerful.
I give that feedback as a sound engineer all the time.
Tell
Yeah.
me about
Like
how some of your
blues can
songs.
often be a vocal style. Like my favorite version of blues is a vocal style pretty often.
Well, that's what it is.
And
Everything
giving it
Yeah.
up to the guitar, like I've
imitates
had
the
people tell
voice.
me, "Oh, well, blues isn't about the lyric," you know,
Lies and
and I'm
propaganda.
like, "Oh my gosh!" Like these are
Right.
people that'll tell you, "I've been playing blues for 30, 40 years. I have
There's
a
form
blues
and there's
band,"
content.
and they're like, "Oh, well, the lyrics aren't worth much," and I'm like,
And
"Oh, that's a big
that is
disconnection in the way
Yeah.
that people view our art,
Yeah.
right?"
right. And that's for me, I feel like that's that's a huge misconception.
Right.
People think we only sing about the
Right.
pain and these certain things, right? But lyricism in the blues is a big deal if you're really listening. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're listening, there is always something there from the right ones. You know what I mean? From the people who actually love the music that they're writing and singing.
Mhm.
They're saying something always, even if it's making you dance. There's something behind those words, and that's why it means a lot to me to 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 tell it like it is. I grew up in a house where we were very open with each other. I mean, my mom and dad, we weren't sheltered kids by any means. We knew the world that we were growing up in because everybody was honest with us about it.
Mhm.
Um, and we were encouraged to be honest and you know, to not allow things that we felt in our spirit
Mhm.
wasn't good for us,
Mhm.
right? And we were encouraged to speak up, because if you have complaints about something and you don't speak up, or you have issues with something and you don't speak up, then don't like you can't complain. You can't do both. You can't
Yeah.
do both. So
Yeah.
when I'm writing
You gotta
songs,
serve somebody.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes it's necessary, and I'm not always trying to be preachy or
Mhm.
even poetic at all. I just want to be a healer, and a
Mhm.
part of that is exposing things and shining light in dark places. That is a responsibility of an artist.
Mhm.
And again, it's not about being Debbie Downer. It's about hopefully enlightening people and encouraging somebody who might need some encouraging, or even just letting somebody know you're not the only one who's feeling this or going through this. You're not alone in your whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just to help grow the world to a place where we just want to do better and be better for each other
Mhm.
and for ourselves.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
healing goes both ways. It's right here in the future, right? But healing also goes backwards generations and forward generations.
Mhm.
And in order for anything like that to take place, there has to be a conversation.
Yeah. Well, blues is a music of liberation. Um, it either gets the pain out or it helps you to shake your ass on a Saturday night.
Yes.
And either way, it's a healer. Like you
Yeah,
said, it's a healer. It's the poor person's psychiatrist. Thank you.
that's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. It's a way to remind ourselves that trouble don't last always.
Right.
I got all this pain to think about today, but tomorrow the sun's gonna come right back up.
Yeah. That was the other song that I sang at Rum Boogie.
You better.
Thank you. Trouble in Mind. And here's a quick little story. I'll make it as quick as possible. Ann Rabson and I in Sapphire, as we were gathering ahead of Steam, we were interviewed by Ms. Magazine. So at the end of, they called Ann, and at the end of her interview, they asked her what song most typified what she was about and what the blues was about. So she thought about songs she had written. She thought about songs that Sapphire had done. She thought and she thought, and she came up with an idea. And then they called me. And at the end of my interview, they asked me the same question. Now, both Ann and I know thousands of songs. We came up with the same answer: Trouble in Mind. I'm blue. I won't be blue always. I'm going to lay my head on some cold railroad track. And when I hear the whistle blow, I'm going to pull it back. A lot of people leave that verse out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like one of those things. It's the folk process. You take a song and you keep adding verses or subtracting verses or changing the gender or changing the setting of the song, what have you. But it's about liberation. I also found in your songs that I've listened to, every album, every recording has a spiritual interlude, if you will.
Yeah.
And in the article, I say what was also interested. So many people will say, "Oh yeah, you go down to the crossroads and you'll sell your soul to the devil." And Kat said, "Oh no, never." You see, so some of that also comes through in her writing. I'm looking at this list of questions. What can we do to build a platform for younger artists? What can we do to gather more younger patrons? How can we help it be? Let's see. I use the word dharma a lot. The blues is my dharma. That's my purpose in life.
Yeah.
And so how can we? And I know that with my career, I did one CD that's a children's CD. I did another CD that's for academics. I did a CD that's a cappella for the vocalists, and different slices. I did one that's very political, and so I've been trying to tap into different facets to help grow this music that I love so much.
Yeah.
What can you? I see already, Kimberly, some of what you're doing, but do you have other platforms in mind to spread the goodness of the music?
We're going to start out. My goal is to get back into blues into the schools. A lot of the blues in the school programs were shut down either right before COVID or during COVID. I think we got a pretty good curriculum now that will, because now the curriculums have to coincide with the school curriculum. So I think we got a pretty good one now that will allow for that to happen. But the base of it, to me, all of it is going to be going back to education, teaching them what it is, why it is, how it came about. So I feel like, as I stated before, if we can get them to realize that some of the stuff that they're listening to actually came from somebody else that may have been here 100 years ago, that they would appreciate it a little bit more and gain some interest in it. But there again, it goes back to doing the education part of it. And even I'm at a point now where they were asking me Thursday, how can you do it? Well, if they don't know that we exist, or if they don't know that the blues exist in the facet that it does, then they won't come to it. So I got to put myself in a position where we can get out there to where they are. So, so that's something that I'm getting ready to gear up and start trying to get into place so that we can reach them. Even if it's getting to, TikTok and Instagram, we got to go where they are to grab their attention, to make them know what it is.
Right. Yeah, I did when I did my children's CD, it won the Parents' Choice Gold Award for music. I tried to get many blues labels to put it out. Now, I'd already put the money into making it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody turned me down. And I figured, well, damn, all these grandparents and great grandparents who are fans, all it would take would be an ad in Living Blues and an ad in Blues Review to sell this thing. But none of the labels wanted to make the investment to try to cultivate. The audience is ready made. All of these old people are fans. They're old people. Excuse me. I think you were getting ready to say something, and I cut
No,
you off.
well, it's interesting what you were saying ties into what I was going to say anyway. On the topic of like education and reaching people, at the Blues Society here, one of the things that we did is we stopped looking for blues fans. I don't care if you like blues. I care that you are able to relate to Black culture,
Mm,
and we talk about doing it through a blues lens.
mhm,
That's the important part for us here now, right?
mhm.
So, an example of how we do that, like last night, we had a beat battle, and it's on YouTube for anybody that wants to see it. It's on our Facebook page. We had a hip hop beat battle last night. We gave them 5 blues songs: Coco Taylor, "I'm a Woman." They had some BB King. We had 1938, "Smells Like Fish" by Blind Boy Fuller,
Wow.
That's so
right?
cool. I cannot wait to
And
see this thing.
look, it's on there from last night. It happened at
Uh,
a coffee shop downtown called Common Grounds.
uh,
But we have such a good time teaching, but there's this moment in the event that you'll see where we stop and we start out with the music, then we stop and we say, hey, one of my board members comes on stage and says, we want y'all to know where this came from.
mhm,
And we
Mhm.
give biographies of all the artists
Yes, God.
and the songs that
Good.
they wrote. And
mhm.
then we play snippets of the original works.
Right.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, we think we don't understand this.
Mhm,
So I don't care if you so hip hop heads went to that event. That's clearly a hip hop event.
Mhm.
We had hip hop judges,
mm,
video producers and DJs and artists as the judges, and they're like, yo, this beat slaps. But
mhm.
also like I've got to go dig through these crates for Blind Boy
That's
Fuller
right.
because he just flipped this,
Mhm,
which means there's more gold out there from this artist.
That part right there.
So
That
looking at it that way, like you were talking about your book, we have organized a list. Most people don't know this. It's going to come out soon, but we've organized a list of every children's based blues book we could find.
No, this was a CD. I need
Yours
to
was a
get
CD.
it to you, Kim. I need to give it to you because I want it. I took it to the Blues Foundation. They ordered 5 copies. I could care less about the sales, but I wanted it in the shop because it's good. I know it's good,
Mhm.
but you know,
Well, send it. We are.
I
That's
only
something
got
else.
like
That's
20
something.
copies left, but I would like to send you one because now we can put it on streaming, whatever,
Yeah,
or make
send
some
it.
more. But I think you will find it worthy. It's called Blues in All Flavors. And
Okay.
I do a Piedmont blues, I do a shuffle blues, I do a Delta style blues, I do a jump blues, and so on and so forth. And I had learning activities for each song. But
Wow.
We'd like to buy some to put in our archive and use for our education program. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm
you just
saying,
made another sale talk about it. And if
yeah.
anybody
no,
else,
no, no, I only got 20. I've given them all away to the it's called Hope House
well,
for
maybe we
the
can
children
create
who
demand for a repress,
a
Gay.
yep.
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about. Like,
That's a long story too. I don't know if I told you the story or not, but I was giving all my business to my hometown guys, and they
Oh
went
yeah.
out of business in 2020. But what they did, they ghosted me. They took all of my data, all of it, all of it.
so you don't have the
All of
originals.
No, I don't have the CD.
You don't have
Music
the
is
graph.
easy.
You don't
I
have the
don't have
graphics.
the graphics. I don't have the photos. I don't have the copy. I don't have any of that. So that's why I'm doing this anthology, which is coming out June 2nd. Cat, you have an advance. Cat has an advance copy. Yeah,
Oh, look at
Cat
that.
has
It's
an
gold.
advance copy.
I
Yeah,
love it.
comes out June
I'm
2nd,
not bragging though.
and I'm getting married June 3rd.
Yay!
Yay! Old ass woman like myself. Yeah.
So for you to say that now, this is going to be interesting. This is a perspective that we have. When I first took over the Blue Society, I um, said we're going to move to themes, right? And one of the things that I did was so that we could educate ourselves as a body. I didn't want people to have an excuse to say, "Oh, well, you're just highlighting blackness and doing a certain way." I said, "No, we're going to educate an institution
Mhm,
like
Mhm.
systemically, right?"
mhm.
So the first year that I was president, Blind Boy Fuller got put in the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. They invited me to accept the award and our organization to accept the award because they
Mhm.
couldn't find his family.
Mhm.
The next year, so that just made sense. It came with some extra promo and stuff. I was like, oh, this is a great way to launch into being president.
Mhm.
The very next year, the first thing I did was I said, well, as a black man, if I am supporting black culture and something that comes of blackness, this organization and myself have to start with black women. And in the blues, black women um, have a variety of, you know, tropes that are told about them. Black women have a variety of things that are known and assumed about them.
Is that
Um,
Libba Cotton behind you?
this is a picture we curated doing that work, and it is of Libba Cotton. It's by an
Mhm.
artist named Darius Quarles. He's in Five Points Gallery in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
African American artist, really great guy.
Mhm.
And after seeing how we were working during when we tried to do Women of the Blues, it ended up being the year of the pandemic. So we couldn't do our full show. We did a streaming show with Vanessa Ferguson and let her do a Nina Simone set and a pop set because she's a pop R&B artist as well. And so, but what we talked about going into this year of women, it was like, okay, so how do we do that? We had to listen to women, especially black women, in a different way, actively. We had to put information and requests out there. We had to seek black vendors and black female vendors. It was hard. All the extra hoops, even myself as a leader that considers myself a feminist and an equitable man, had to jump through
To find
seemingly. Yeah, well, to not only to find them, but to just actually execute that. Like my first thought wasn't an equitable one towards women.
huh.
The
But
way
the
I had
fact
been
is that you
trained,
still did it though. You did it.
we
Like
did.
there's work, but it's work that is doable. You
It is
understand
work
what I
that is
mean?
doable.
Like the
Yeah,
effort, if the effort is put in, it's something that can be done.
but
And
Mhm.
I
you made the effort, which is
yeah.
uh,
Well, thank you for acknowledging that. But like,
Mhm.
I don't need any
That's
claps for that.
exactly
That's
right.
it was overdue in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, the thing that I found that was really astounding was, and it happened again this year when we did origination as a theme. When we looked at the beginning of our Blue Society, but the beginning of all blues, we had to look and say who was there at the beginning, and a lot of the biggest first blues stars were women. But there was a common thread that I think you can relate to several of us on this call, which was also a lot of them were also black queer women.
Oh, really?
you're so
Is
cute.
not
Damn. Oh my
that is
goodness.
not that is not something
Oh
that
my
talks
goodness.
about. Like, and in the black community, we know. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna throw out some numbers that don't exist, but 1 out of 3 musical directors at a black church is gay. Like, and it's fine as long as you can like keep the choir together, right?
Mhm.
And
Oh
don't bring
yeah,
your partner
sure.
to church on Easter, right?
Right.
Um, it's fine, as long as you're considered desirable. And I know a lot of our artists have had to like keep
Mhm.
their sexuality on the back burner instead of being a showcase of their life or a feature in their life or just being
Mhm.
honest, honestly, publicly.
Mhm.
Um, Big Mama Thornton, Sister Rosetta Tharpe,
Yeah,
uh, Moms Mabley, Bessie Smith.
Bessie Smith.
Many of these women were at least bi,
My rating.
Ma
Hmm.
Rainey,
Mhm.
so like, I'm curious about in the 21st century what it looks like. Like, Kat, you're a out artist.
Yeah.
You've mentioned your wife tonight. Like, you're not hiding anywhere. It's also not your identity. The center of your identity is not your sexuality, and it isn't for
Mhm.
most people.
Mhm.
Most people aren't a walking body part or a
Yeah,
walking
Right.
heterosexual, like
but
whatever.
but
Like,
everybody calls it homosexual.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was just curious, like, if you guys have perspective on that, like, what would it look like? What's your experience been like, maybe a little bit, and then maybe what do you think it could look like if it were better, different somehow?
What are you thinking, Gay? I want to hear from you.
Well, long ago, I taught school. I taught school for 18 years, and my son was sickly, and I had to teach school in conservative Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I
Mm.
was closeted. But then I kind of stepped out of the closet, and I was in the room with other lesbians, but we still kind of did whatever in the dark. And then I stepped out of the room and into the house. And then I stepped out of the house, and now I'm running up and down the street naked and, and
Love
dare
that.
anybody to say anything. But after I
I love that.
was on the road with Sapphire and Ann Rapson, I've cited her a few times, but we were partners for 25 years. Sapphire did brought more women to the blues than any other artist, I'm positive. But anyway, Ann gave me a button, that you wear on your coat, and it said, "Closets are for clothes." And it hit me
Mm.
so deeply because I was still acting like I was teaching school. And I just came on out fully around 2000. And a lot of my songs, I did Gay Without Shame in 2008. In 2009, I was nominated for a Blues Music Award, and I was asked to perform. And the song I sang on the big stage was "I'm Here, I'm Queer, Get Over It."
Yeah.
The only person said anything with me, probably said anything to me, probably because he had nerve, was Scrap Iron. And so there you go. There you go. And,
That's awesome.
and yeah, so now, I have changed my songs because we did a lot of songs from Bessie Smith, or from that era, I should say. And then I kind of changed the gender, but you still want to be authentic. And so
Right.
I had to redirect my writing to be authentic with what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just did a show in Norway, and there was an interview, a 1 hour interview with the main writer in Norway. That was an open interview with all these people. And the first song he wanted me to do in the interview was Middle Age Blues, which is "I Need a Young Man." And I told him that was the last thing in the world I wanted. but I did it for him. Yeah, I did it because
Yeah.
it actually put my son through college. Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
there
there
you
you
go.
go.
So, it's called prostitution, and I do that. I do it
Yeah.
on occasion. Yeah. Yeah, you got to think about your priorities. My son's education was my priority.
Well, that young man put your son through college.
Yeah, it did. It
Yeah.
said,
Yeah, he did.
But at the
I
time,
don't.
it sounds like that felt like a sacrifice. Like you had to think about it. Like,
oh, sure.
do I want to do this?
Well,
Like that's the part that sucks.
Now I did it, and I gave my disclaimers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before, because a lot of times as a songwriter, Kat, and you know this, when you go to write a song, one of the main things you have to do is to decide what voice is singing it. Okay.
Hmm.
So the song that they're mainly using for the distribution for this anthology is the second cut, which is called "Look at the Forehead, Maury," which is based on the Maury Povich show. And I sing it as though I'm a woman on the show, you know. So, so when I write it, obviously I'm singing as a young woman, and I'm singing because Maury, look at the photo, Maury, and look at him, Maury, look at his forehead, Maury, look at his nose, look at his eyes, and then at the end, what comes out at the end is that you need to say his name. You know you are the baby's daddy. Little Tommy needs to know his daddy's name. He is little Tommy Jefferson.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Mm.
And threw that
So
history at him.
thank you.
Mm.
So what we have to do as writers, especially in this arena, we have to fight the anti-CRT racists. And they are all over the blues world. All over the blues world. There are some blues artists that make their living off of Trumpites. I'm here to tell you, I
So
know this.
let me ask
I
a
know this.
question. Since it's gone into that political world a little bit, do you think, because I have I work here again in North Carolina, and I always qualify it that way because I realize I think everyone's allowed to have their own perspective. I don't have to agree, but I think everyone's allowed. We've said that there's a music fan and then there's a blues supporter. They are not the same thing. A lot of people, I think, that qualify themselves as blues supporters inside of Black culture, I don't think that we feel that way about them.
Mm.
I think that if you buy records and you buy CDs and you buy T-shirts and you go to concerts and you stand online to get yourself a signature, you're engaging in commodity and you're a music fan. To be a supporter, I feel you have to engage with our culture. And our culture doesn't just happen at a concert while you're getting a commodity for yourself. So, do you think that there is an obligation for a fan of the blues to appreciate activism?
Hmm.
They should, but I know, like I said, they ain't even scared to say my name. You know, if that is not, I mean, they won't even try.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I've been doing it for 50 years.
And that's where this crossroads of this conversation comes, like even this conversation we're having now, right? The
Mhm.
word
Yeah.
racist was part of the original letter that led to this conversation. Young Black artists wanted to be heard. They're like, why are older people that don't look like me, that don't come from my community, in charge of my future?
Hmm.
And we know some of the reasons why, the way the country has evolved, ownership, these things, but in the 21st century, with everybody talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, what does it look like now in the 21st century? I say it looks like not putting us, diversity, equity, inclusion isn't putting our face on a flyer or a pamphlet of your organization. It's changing the face at your board table, which is like
Yeah.
Kimberly was talking about earlier, having a lot more diversity. We've worked really hard to have diversity on our board. I have, you know, um, board members that are non-binary. I have board members that are married, that are gay, that are black, that are mixed, that have, different perspectives to contribute because I can't see it all. I'm in my
Right.
little Afro-Caribbean blues loving box,
Mhm.
you know, and it comes with its own set of blinders, and I know that, you
Right.
know. So,
It's about recognizing that tunnel vision that we all kind of have, no matter how hard we try to see the
hmm
peripheral, and getting people in the conversation, or at the same table that we're having the conversation at, that don't look like us, that didn't come up how we came up, so that we can understand each other better. And as a supporter of this genre, which is activism, you have to appreciate the activism in it. I'm not saying, um, you know, you got to go out and put a picket sign up and stuff like that, but just understand that it's more than about me just singing the song.
Mhm.
you know it's more than about a good time on a Friday night. There are things being said, and I mean for everybody to have a good time and leave the place in way better spirits than when we all arrived. But the fact is that this is activism. It was born that way.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you find, Kat, that you really alter your set for a different audience?
I used to a lot. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I used to uh kind of pigeonhole myself when I was in my writing. I didn't say everything when I thought at the time that I was being bold.
Mhm.
Compared to now, the things that I really wasn't saying much. And now I'm in a different headspace. And now my set list is my set list. And I
Mhm.
feel like people know who they're hiring. And if they don't, that's okay too, because they'll learn.
it's all their
Um,
opportunity, right?
right. And I'm not trying to offend at all. My goal is never that. My goal is never to pick a fight, ever. I got people in my family that look like everybody. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I love them all, and I respect and acknowledge all of those pieces of me,
Mhm.
which is another reason that the last record was called Progeny. It's about the respect, the acknowledgement, the honor that I have in just being all different parts of different people.
Mhm.
But the knowing that there will not be a change if there's nothing said, like that pushes me. Like I see so much and I feel so much. I feel like I'm overly empathetic at times, and that's what drives me to speak up on certain things. And it's always going to be that way.
Mhm.
And as far as my set list is concerned, it is meant to make people think.
Mhm.
It's meant to make you say,
Mhm.
or rethink something that you already thought you were solid about in your way of mind. Like I need to know that everything I'm saying and doing on that stage looks and sounds and feels like God. And to me, that means looking and sounding and feeling like love.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't say that, if it doesn't feel that way, then I'm not being honest on that stage. Everything that I do is about resembling God,
Mhm.
and that is love.
Yeah,
And
even
it,
when you sing that 99-pound song.
that absolutely too. Yeah. Gay's so funny. I remember the first time you saw me do that. That's funny. But yeah, even that song, even that damn song.
I know.
Yes.
I'm just yanking
Yeah.
your praise. Yeah. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
people have trouble relating to parts of Black culture because they just don't know. And the way that spirituality leads through Black culture
Mhm.
um, is really, really important.
Mhm.
God or no God, spirituality,
Mhm.
for our culture is essential. When we go our Blues in Schools program, they do start on the west coast of Africa. And I
Mhm.
tell kids, I give them this anecdote. I say, you go to the top of a mountain, our drum rhythm is played 3 miles over another village, someone hears that rhythm, and they all dance and celebrate and share in joy because
Mhm.
they know the king's son was born.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
say the next day the drummer goes up to the top of the same mountain, and three
Mhm.
miles over the same village hears a different story in the rhythm, and
Mhm.
the story is, our village was just attacked, our women and children were murdered, and you're next.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
then I say, how important then is the rhythm to the life of Black people?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's kind of how I open our Blues in Schools program at
Yeah.
all ages.
Yeah.
And just set it and talk about the heartbeat being the original rhythm, and we all have it. And
Mhm.
then we go from there. But
Hmm.
to help
So
people understand that the spiritual is such a part of what we do, um, even
it
when we're
is.
making a joke, even when it's the dozens, even when all that can happen, and when it happens in its best way, it happens with love.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
um,
It was interesting at the BMAs the other night, Kim. I don't know if you noticed it, Kat. I don't know if you noticed. The only person that I heard thank God
Was Dylan.
was Dylan. Dylan
The
Triplett.
very first thing came out his
First thing
mouth.
came out of his mouth,
Yep.
and then he
wait,
Hmm.
thanked
what
his
what was the
parents.
first thing that came out of his mouth?
Thank
Thank
I gotta
God.
thank
God.
God.
He
Thank God.
thanked God. Because you hear that a lot of times from Black people on award show.
Right.
Uh,
But
I
there's
heard
a
it come
It's
out of
reason.
weird.
his
It's
mouth.
weird to me that
And
in
I
this
must
world that's
say
a
that,
taboo.
that when his name was called, it was the biggest cheer of the night. The whole audience just,
Hmm.
it was an uproar. Yeah, it was an uproar. Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
I would like to submit that uproar was perfectly authentic, well deserved. I would also like to submit for approval, and maybe I don't care if it's approved, that some of that uproar was also fetishization.
What?
You know, the
What?
the
Gay said what?
folks,
Man, hey, I got a new word. I got a new word.
Jumping on
I got a new word. Y'all
the
like
fo-
this.
folks.
Melanemic.
I found
melanemic.
that our blues world likes to have fetishes.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Maybe
about
so. Maybe so.
artists and
Yeah, I
certain
know some
things.
people like to be walked on with
You know,
stilettos. You know,
Gay are they below that?
I mean that's what I call fetish. But you know, no, but I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
you know what I'm
But
saying? So all of that applause, it's like, did y'all ever go to the movies and see uh what
who's
was
got a dog? I want to
Look,
know.
Peele?
Somebody
look,
needs to let
look.
that dog in.
My daughter has. I have 3 granddogs here. She is getting ready to get on the road and go back home,
Okay.
and she got the one outside because they're getting
Oh,
ready to get in the car and
oh,
drive 3 hours.
oh,
The other two are sitting in the window crying because they can see her, and it's like
oh,
I.
outside. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That is
yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah, you took your time out to be here with us when
You
your
did.
daughter is there visiting for Mother's Day. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
And
I
happy
try.
Mother's Day, by the way, to y'all.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you, thank
Thank you.
you,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, happy Mother's Day
Yeah.
to all the mothers.
So the fetish thing.
So what I'm saying is, there's these fetishes that people have. The guitar gods is one of them.
Mm,
Okay, in the blues world, if you pick up a guitar, you automatically have their attention, and if you happen to play it well, you get more. It doesn't even matter if you're a good person.
wow.
It does not
Wow.
matter
I don't know.
to the music fan if you're a good person, as long as you can hit that guitar lick, right?
Mm,
Um, but that's the difference for me. There's that line: music fan versus blues supporter.
supporter.
You have to have a moral and ethical boundary as a supporter of a culture. You can't say I support Jewish culture and tell anti-Semitic jokes.
Right. I hear you.
Right.
Okay? And you can't support blues as culture and tell other kinds of jokes either. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Hmm.
Even behind closed doors, because it's not
Mm-hmm.
authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when I talk
Yeah.
about the fetishization, I was saying the room, it was the biggest applause deserved. Like, that man's insane. Some of the people in that room don't understand exactly what they're clapping for,
They were just
is
clapping.
my point.
No, no,
No,
no, no, no,
they're
no, no.
clapping for the
That's,
moment, but
Just
yeah.
no,
That
no,
man.
I didn't take it that way. I took
no.
it as they were watching a star be born.
Right. I
And
feel like people had heard him around
it
too.
was so beautiful. I mean, he had his whole band dressed in suits and white shirts. That's
Yeah.
that BB King thing.
Yeah, that's
You
that
know?
classic
And nobody
showmanship.
He is
in
a show out of this
garbage. They
world.
were dressed. They were just, oh, I was so happy.
And his
And I wasn't
emotions were
trying to
so
soil the
genuine too.
moment. I was
Uh,
just talking about the whole audience, you
yeah,
know?
I was too.
I
I
Yeah.
don't know. I
was
felt like in this particular audience, I think people just had like they were really happy for him in this audience, in
Yeah.
that room. I
Mhm,
understand where you're coming from, and
I
it does
believe that.
exist. It does exist.
mhm.
But in this room, for this man,
It
in
was
that
ge- it was
moment,
it was it was genuine. It was
I feel like
genuine.
everybody felt his joy because you know how they when they find them on the big screen as they're coming up, right? And
Mhm.
and if the camera is in the right place, you can see the face of the artist that's going up to accept their award, right? His and the word authentic comes up a lot in this genre. His
It does.
authentic joy and like he was so floored and humbled and grateful
Mhm.
for this
Mhm.
win, and it shone through that screen like you could I saw his face and my body went up in tingles and I immediately started crying like a baby. Like I wasn't cute at all anymore. The ugly face went on like
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, I was
You know,
crying
like
I wasn't
it
there,
was
and I will
palpable in that
say I
room.
would like to retract it in relationship to that particular event. It was a bad
Just this
example on my part.
event and this for this instance and this event, I think it was all
and
joy for
yeah,
real.
and
That's
I
It
think
awesome.
was.
perhaps that
It was.
category, probably everybody in the joint had voted for him.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. That's absolutely
yeah.
true.
And
I
so,
believe
Somebody
that
turned off
too.
the heat
yeah.
in my building.
Oh, you got to fan yourself on that one, huh?
No, like, I swear, yeah.
Come on now. Now I want y'all to hear it for the word melanemic. These melanemic people,
Um,
I'm in here with some photography lights, like some studio lights,
Why?
because this is because does the light
that's
look
a
nice
good
and
answer.
even?
You look
Why don't you take
perfect.
your shirt off then? I mean,
See,
take something off. Take
you
your
know.
pants off.
Am I
Oh,
gay?
you trying to get
No,
a
I mean,
show?
I'm just saying, if you're that hot
She's
that you
trying to turn the
fan me,
ratings up. She's trying to get us some views.
I was
uh,
about to say it's a different show now. You're gonna have to put some
no,
more
I'm just,
PayPal stuff up
it's
there.
like you got a hot flash or something there.
I might have to start a OnlyFans.
Okay.
You better quit.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Leave it alone, gay. You starting him on a
Now,
different path.
Atiba, I don't know if we have done what you wanted this panel to do.
I
I
think we
think we've
have.
had
I
an
think we've given
interesting
people a chance to see it.
conversation, but I see that we're nearing the end. And is there anything in its stone that we have left unturned?
Um, I don't think we have. Like, this is the point.
Mhm,
Is for people to really see what's going on. We were
mhm,
expecting a few more guests today, so there may have been some cross sections, but I think that we had a that don't happen because those other guests aren't here. But I think we accomplished exactly what needs to happen, which is giving people access to, Black culture, giving people
mhm,
access to female perspectives from inside the
mhm,
blues community.
mhm.
You know,
Um, just to kind of like summarize some of my feeling, the difference between Black women and white women in the blues genre. I was on a panel a few years back, I guess. All I know is that three different people told me don't be political gay.
mhm.
And I wasn't, kinda. But almost everything I do is political. But the white women who were in the audience and sending up questions and everything, their whole thing was about the good old boy network holding them down in the studio. And then I just thought to myself, with Black women, we have issues in this world that are so much bigger. And and when the blues bug bites, just like it's bitten cat, you do what it takes. And that's been our whole history as a people, as women, as Black women. We have done whatever it takes to survive and to achieve. And Kimberly, I am so proud of you. I'll do anything you want me to do to support you. Kat,
Thank you.
I'm so,
Thank you.
so proud of you. I will do anything I can do to support you. Atiba, oh man, you're just a fetish at this point.
Yes.
But we're gonna get to know
Yes.
each other.
Okay. I'm just
Uh,
proud to know you, Gay. Seriously, I had been a fan of yours for a while before I even met you for the first time. And then when I met you for the second time and I had the nerve to actually say something to you, um, from there, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that, that I got over that little
Yeah,
nervousness and I
good,
spoke to you.
good.
And, the rest is
And we're gonna make
history.
that sweet potato souffle when you come in.
I'm ready. I'm hungry. And we
Okay,
on our way.
yeah. And Kimberly, you won my heart last year when you were able to get the ticket for me for the table. And no, not just that, but when we talked, you said, wait just a minute, I'll run upstairs and get it. You remember you did that?
I do.
Yeah, and that's what you call taking care of business. Yeah, it was a
Oh
small thing, it was a small act, but boom, boom, let's take care of it and we won't think about it again.
yeah. Right.
And so if that's the way you're running this foundation, my hat
Yeah.
is off to you. Yeah.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like
Thank you.
with you, Kim, you feel um like we know, like I feel like I know you and I don't know you. I'm getting to know you, but I
Hmm.
feel it, you feel familiar. And
Mhm.
like
That's right.
I feel like I can trust you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
for
that's
me, that's a big deal. Like I feel like you are one of those people who do what you say and you only say what you mean, and that's the beginning of the end of it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
real knows real. That's the way we put it. Real
yeah,
knows real.
yeah.
yeah.
I try to shoot straight from the hip all the time. I don't paint pictures. I don't sell dreams. I mean, it is what it is. And if you do it the right way, nothing can come behind it but good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So thank you
I,
so
I
much.
think
You
it.
got a
I
little
think that
baby.
representation matters, is how everybody's been saying it here lately.
Uh,
Like, and having your face, not just any face, makes a really big difference. For everybody that's coming up. I mean, there's a young woman right now that's African American in this country or somewhere in the world, and she's like, "Oh, this organization is led by a black woman."
mhm.
Right.
Let alone
I,
a
I,
blues organization or
yeah,
a music entity,
yeah.
or
I
it's a
posted
big
you with
deal.
your two kids on my Facebook page. Hmm.
Well, thank you, thank you. They
Hmm.
are very supportive and they are very hands on with everything, and I think they are my biggest supporters.
No,
I have
my
the biggest.
fans needed to see you. They
Hmm.
needed to know who you were,
Yeah.
and they needed to see you with your kids. You're a mama up there doing that thing.
Yeah. Because this is a real person,
Mhm.
just like us, with
Mhm.
a
That's it.
family and responsibilities and things going on just like us. This is a
Mhm.
human being
Yeah, it is.
who looks and feels like me, who now I feel like there's somebody who can speak for me
Mhm.
at that
That's right.
table.
That's
Somebody
right.
who's thinking about what I might be going through
About a bigger
that can
picture.
help us. Exactly. It's
Mhm.
it's it's so powerful.
It is. And
Yeah.
conversations about culture really are conversations about people. Like, we stopped using the word race in our work at the Blue Society because, like, it was a hazard. It was a trip up. But when we changed that conversation to culture, realized people could actually talk about culture and talk about people, you
I
know?
really wish Melody Angel had been here.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
sure what happened today. This is her
That's
type of conversation for sure. This is her part of the
I was looking
conversation.
forward to this to
Yeah,
be on the
right.
line with her.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but there will be more opportunities. This is a
She
collective.
still talks about revolution.
Yes,
Yeah.
and a lot of
See,
artists do.
I don't know why people mess with Melody Angel in the first place. You shouldn't mess with that.
You shouldn't mess with
Dude,
There's so there's so
she's
many
not messable.
facets.
You
her.
don't mess with her.
Okay,
Don't
Yep.
mess
guys,
with her.
my daughter is getting ready to hop in the
Yes.
car, so I'm gonna
Thank
I
you.
want
hop
to thank
off.
all of
Thank
you for your
you. Thank
time.
you.
Thank you
Thank you. Thank
guys
you.
so much
Okay.
for
Thank
inviting
you
me
for
and
your time on
having
this
me.
Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day
Thank
again
Happy
to all
Mother's
the
you.
Day,
mothers.
Kim.
Bye.
Thank you. We'll
Love
see
you,
each
Yes,
other
family.
soon, really soon. Atiba, I'll be
we
talking to
will.
you sooner than later.
Yes,
All right.
Thank you,
definitely.
thank you, thank you. See y'all later.
All
Good
right.
We
night.
appreciate you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Gay, thank you so much for hosting this.
Oh,
It
oh
was really
boy.
important to have your voice. I've wanted to work with you since I first found out about you.
Okay.
Um, I dig deep as I can without being a historian. Like I said, I'm more of a social blues community member. So, like, I like to find out who's up to what more so than who plays what.
Hmm.
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 That's kind of
Ooh.
how I like to move through these spaces.
Hmm.
You play guitar, that's great. Lots of people do that. What you talking
Hmm.
about?
Hmm.
What you talking about?
you know, and I always liked what I saw that you were talking about.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
so
I'll be
thank you
talking.
for sharing your experience with us.
My pleasure, darling. My pleasure.
I told my
Yeah.
wife I think you and I probably have close personalities, and sometimes we have
Wait a minute.
trouble
Wait a
not.
minute. Wait a minute. I'm
Well, I
teasing
told her
you.
I think we.
I'm
The
teasing you.
reason I said that is because sometimes you and I have trouble not talking over each other. On the way up here, I told my wife, I said, every time I talk to Gay, we have this thing, and it's not attention. We love talking to each other, but I think we both have so much to say at the same time. And I said, I'm going to work really hard not to step on what Gay says today,
And vice versa. Right.
because I can see this thing, and it's not even contentious. It's
No,
just
I
it's
don't
just
think
how
we
our
had a problem
personalities get together.
today. I think I think the whole thing flowed. Really.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you to be here too, Kat. I'm glad for people to hear some of your story, and
I'm
I'm really
so
glad for have you on the festival next week.
Well,
Next week, for those that don't know, where are you now? Are you in Florida now?
I'm home, yeah. I'm at
Okay,
home
so
in Florida.
cool
yeah.
deal. So Kat's in Florida
Who
right
are your
now, but
friends who
next
came to the
Saturday
thing
she'll be
last
in
year?
Greensboro, North Carolina, with Piedmont Blues Preservation Society for the 37th annual Carolina Blues Festival. That's the poster, right? Yeah, that's the right thumb. That one right there.
Right.
That
That's
one
the poster.
Right.
right there.
PiedmontBlues.org. You can catch her, and you're going to be following after Charlie Musselwhite.
I cannot wait to meet him.
It's
Following
going to be
after
so much
Charlie
fun.
Musselwhite. All
Yep.
right. Right.
We're
I
going right
can't
after
wait to
Charlie
meet him.
Musselwhite. You know, we got
He's
so much
beautiful.
amazing talent that
He's
day. It's
beautiful.
gonna
He's
be the
authentic.
non-monolithic representation of the blues. You know, we got
I'm
some
excited.
Mississippi harp. We got gospel Kelly Day.
I saw that too.
When y'all hear I've never
Look at
heard Kelly Day in person, but it's really one of the moments I'm probably most excited for. But I was trained to sing opera, for those that don't know. That's how I
Okay.
kind of got into all
Uh,
this. And so, as a fine arts musician, knowing that she comes from the fine arts world and has done opera and all that stuff, but then also sings gospel, like when I was younger, my idols musically for performance, for me as a performer, I was all about some like Paul Robeson and some,
Mm.
and some, you know, Kathleen Battle and
Wow, you were really
um,
up in that stratosphere.
and like Mahalia Jackson. Like I was like, can you stand there and your voice do the work? Not walk across a whole stage, not do, you know what I'm saying? It's a different,
You
but
said
it's
Kathleen Battle, and
mm-hmm.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, I, that's where I was,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't see enough of me, and I got burnt out on
Mm-hmm.
regurgitating European music, like
Mm-hmm.
because I'm real Afro Caribbean. When I went home, it was,
Mm-hmm.
soca and salsa and you know merengue and reggae and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know gospel and hip hop. So,
yeah.
Non-melodic.
but well, yeah, I'm really excited for you to be on this lineup. I'm excited for all the work to come forward. We've got more events this week, blues jams and all this stuff.
Yeah, you
Um,
never stop, dude. Thank you for
Mhm.
taking a moment to talk to me
Yeah.
and
yeah,
to have me on here,
Girl,
especially
shake
knowing
'em
that
up
David
down
on
in
here.
North Carolina. You shake them up one time, okay?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. You know
Yeah.
And don't worry, we'll have you
that's
down
in the
here for too
plans.
long too.
Yeah.
We will.
Okay.
It will happen. But I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
My
Thank
pleasure, my
y'all.
dear. Yeah. Have a good evening.
And y'all
Have a
have
good
a
evening.
wonderful evening. Anybody that
Okay.
needs details about the festival or anything else blues related, come to piedmontblues.org. We've got tickets, we've got information, volunteer opportunities. We need lots of volunteers still. So please find the volunteer link on our website and sign up. We appreciate y'all.
Night.
Have a
Good
great night.
night.